record this real quick. Think about how you could front load students. We usually call it flipping the classroom, where you provide a video, students watch it, and then you come to class and you do your teaching. Students can also go back and refer to that video anytime, anywhere to get missed material. Videos increase knowledge retention. Since they can be stopped and replayed, you can always rewind, play. I don't know if you ever do that with TV, if you DVR shows or movies. If you miss something they said, and I'm old and can't hear, so I do it quite a bit. I'll rewind what they say, and sometimes it's 3 and 4 times. Or sometimes my husband and I rewind commercials because they're so stupid, they're funny, and we want to see them again. So, it gives you that ability. They assist in learning all subjects. Videos can be used in every single classroom. And they, of course, increase your digital literacy and communication. So what of those things, or do you see other advantages? What of those things stick out to you for using video in your classroom?
I really like the resource that you can take anywhere with you, and then also being able to pause and rewind. It made me think back to my math class back in high school. My math teacher would record lessons of himself explaining whatever he was teaching that week, and he would put them up on Moodle for us, and we could go back and watch it. And it was pretty much like him reteaching class, which was really helpful because math 3 was really hard for me. Trigonometry was not something that came naturally. So him giving us that resource was definitely something that was really, really helpful.
Has anybody else had that experience in their classes, either high school or college?
I've had it a couple of times in college where they would record in addition to class, or sometimes they would just record a class. And I thought it was very helpful to be able to go back and watch and be able to rewatch things that you didn't quite understand to help you understand it a little bit better.
I had a completely flipped classroom in high school. It's actually my favorite class I've ever had. Definitely the teacher I want to emulate the most when I find myself teaching in the classroom. But in a math setting especially, flipped classrooms were really helpful because the kids could work through the difficult problems right next to the teacher instead of just sitting through class, retaining information, and then going home and struggling.
And Jordan, you're exactly right. I'm working so hard with my math teachers right now because I feel like math is probably one of the most ideal places to put in teacher-made videos or we use illustrative math, that's a curriculum, and within that math program, they have videos for every single lesson to give students the ability to watch those lessons and then come to class and, as you said, work those problems out with the teacher, to ask those questions that they don't understand instead of flipping it to where when they get home, they don't understand anything.
I took an art class last semester. It was a painting 1 class. And with early on, painting 1 and 2, most of those classes are very technical. And some teachers, it's hard to teach because each person makes art differently. But those classes, you try to avoid less creativity and more technique. And so the way the professor might do it might be different from the way a student does. So my professor linked a ton of videos of people live painting specific techniques. And it was just a requirement to watch them before class. So then you could have class time to briefly go over it and then actually start the assignment, but people had it in their brains before. And I know for me, once I watch somebody do something, I'm usually able to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's really important for you guys as you are training to teach in the classroom, to keep in mind that it's not just sit and get anymore, and you have to have that preload, that front load of your information. So you want to provide, you definitely don't want kids to just go Google, because you don't know what they're going to find when they Google. So you always want to prepare whatever videos or clips that you want them to watch, whether it's in class or beforehand, and have them available, put them up on your Canvas or your Google Classroom or whatever LMS that you're using, so that they're available a day before or 2 days before, and then time after as well. Does anybody, we've heard about art, we've heard about math. What about some of the other subjects or grade levels that you're thinking? Because it says that videos right here can be good for any subjects. Can you think of anything off the top of your head that you might teach that a video would be helpful, and how?
I mean, I feel like it could, like you said, go with anything. I remember in science, I think it was in like elementary school or something. But my teacher showed us a video about photosynthesis, and it was like a song, and I can still sing parts of it for you. Like, it was so catchy.
Yeah, and there we're getting back to the sound that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So when you put the video and the audio together, you got a double hit there. Let me scroll down to benefits to teachers. Now, this is where, when I was talking about showing that full-length movie, in the past, showing a full-length movie gave teachers about 4 days off. And I'm not saying that in an ugly way, but sometimes teachers saw that as a time where, phew, finally I get time to grade my papers, or get time to catch up on my email, or whatever. But we can't look at that as teachers in the classroom like that any longer. So when we look at the benefits to teachers, that student engagement is huge, because you're always looking for ways to engage your students in the subject that you're teaching. Again, it gives you flexibility. So if you're using a video in a classroom and you know your kids aren't getting it, stop and rewind. Pause and talk about it, because you're reading that classroom all of the time. There we have our flipped classroom again. Teaching a flipped classroom is like the ideal. Having kids come in already front loaded with the information you want to cover, and then giving your full devotion to those kids who are struggling. They can facilitate remote learning. And I think that you all are going to have to deal with that as you go through your program and graduate. I think remote learning is here to stay. And I think it's always going to be an option, and sometimes a requirement, if we continue to have to quarantine and shut down schools and things like that. So always good to have those opportunities there. Of course, your analytic features where you can track student, like if you put videos on Blackboard, Moodle, into Canvas, you can track how much the kids are watching it. So you've got your data there. Student feedback, you always have that opportunity. And then it changes a teacher from being a lecturer to facilitating that classroom. So benefits to teachers for video is amazing. You always, as a teacher, want to look for ways to utilize your time best and to be the best, not sage on the stage, but facilitator that you can be to your students. The video is a great way to do that. Benefits to institutions, if we're thinking higher level learning, it can always be for online courses, which you guys are doing now. We can always offer more courses online. You can always market your university, your college. You can do a lot of staff trainings online. You can integrate videos into your learning management system. There's all sorts of things that you can do all the way up from kindergarten through college. So let's look at these four things that the article gave us to maximize processing. Signaling, segmenting, weeding, and matching modality. So what is signaling? From what you read there, what do you think signaling is?
I think it's that when sorry if you hear loud noises, they're doing yard work, but when you're watching a video and it can be kind of sometimes more of an elementary style video where a person will be talking and it'll just be audio, or maybe you're watching them talk, but then something very important will come up, so then their words will show up on the screen, so then you're getting the double way of retaining it, of hearing it, and then also reading it at the same time.
So that could even bring in closed captioning, which can be a very valuable tool to a lot of students as well. But it could be, like you said, they're just audio or video, and then boom, something pops up. That might be an opportunity for you as a teacher to stop that video when the signaling happens and instruct the kids and tell them why it's important and why it's there. And then maybe the next time it happens, have the kids come back with you. Why is that important? Why is that there? What about the segmenting? What is segmenting?
Like
Kind
kind of
of-
breaking, sorry, go ahead.
It's kind of just breaking up the information enough to where the student can process each part. Yeah, that's pretty much the boiled down version of it, I think.
So let's go back to my little scenario of my 8th grade social studies teachers who have just taught the American Revolution, and they want to show the movie Patriot, which is about 2 hours long. So it's going to take them at least 4 days. How could they segment a movie like that to make it more valuable for students, instead of students sitting there with a list of 20 questions watching a 2-hour movie?
Could just show clips of the movie, like really important parts that are like that pertain to the information in class, and then have them talk about it.
Yeah, being that it's a dramatized 2-hour movie, I have no doubt that like a quarter or a half of it is just kind of facial expressions of a character and not actual information being shared, because it was made for entertainment. It wasn't made with students in the future in mind. So yeah, I'm sure probably just getting out most important parts. And I was also thinking having them talk about it, or like the teacher could be like, well, why do you think I just showed you that part? What about that scene is important for what we're learning right now?
Yeah, very good. And you're right that most movies like that are created for entertainment purposes. If they are created for educational purposes and it's 2 hours, they're probably pretty boring and you don't want to show them anyway. So you kind of have to think through, is this movie really worth 4 days of my instruction? And it could run into 5. If you have 60-minute classes, it's a 2-hour movie, you have all the logistics of getting class started and stopped, you've wasted a whole week. So breaking that up, segmenting, showing parts of it, maybe throughout your instruction and not at the end, would also be very helpful, because once you wrap something up, sometimes kids forget what you talked about in the beginning. I think weeding is kind of the same thing there, where you weed out things that aren't necessary. So I think segmenting, chunking it, and weeding it, taking out unnecessary things, kind of work the same. And then what do we think about this matching modality? We've talked some about that. And let me just throw in while you're thinking, Albert texted that this is an example of scaffolding. Absolutely. It's an example of scaffolding, where you're taking the parts that are needed and you expand upon that. And some kids may need more, some kids may need less, some kids may need that flipped classroom, some kids may need to rewind and rewatch. So yes, you're scaffolding. So let's talk about that matching modality.
I mean, yeah, I think we kind of talked about it earlier about using more than one type of learning and type of way of kind of sending it home. It just kind of creates a double whammy. Like, you're just kind of giving them extra support and resources and like ways of examples, I guess is the word I'm looking for, and ways to kind of apply the information.
Okay, so scrolling on down through here, this is just reinforcing what I said earlier. Shorter clips around 5 to 10 minutes help students learn what you want them to learn without all the other stuff that may come along in a longer video. So you really, really, really want to think about that and keep your learners engaged with a shorter video, bringing the most important elements forward. You know, if they want to watch a whole movie, then they can watch it at home. If you show them a clip of The Patriot or show them a clip of whatever and they liked it and they want to watch it at home, more power to them. But that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility as a teacher is to help them retain information in whatever way that you can. So using those shorter clips is very, very helpful. Then the article talked about creating quality videos, and that goes for you, that goes for your students. And I liked what a couple of you talked about in the fact that your teachers videoed their class and then posted it so that you could go back and watch. That obviously isn't a quality educational video, but it is a video that students can refer to as a reference. So as you're teaching the older students, one thing you might want to think about including not just stock videos, not just videos of chunks of movies that are out there, but what can your kids do? How can they create videos within the classroom? And that might be something you want to think about too with this final project is, would creating a video be a way for my students to show what they know, what they have learned, and how they have learned it? A lot of times student production is amazing, and what you get from them is more amazing than you ever thought it could be. On that end, have any of you been able to create videos in your classes? And what did that do for you? What kind of learning did that show you? Or did you learn it better by creating that video, or vice versa?
When I was in high school, my history teacher gave us the opportunity to, like, at the end of the week, we would have to kind of teach the class what we've learned and kind of show them that we know the information. And he gave us a couple different ways that we could do it. We could write a paper, we could do like a PowerPoint presentation, or we could make a video. And usually I was always like, I want to make a video, just because that's how my brain works. And so I would constantly like write out scripts because it was a group project. So I'd work with my group and like we would write out scripts, and like it would make sure that we actually like knew what we were talking about, and it would give us an opportunity to like further research into what we were talking about. And we could kind of include that in the video, and it also gave us the opportunity to learn how to use that type of technology. So I really enjoyed it.
Has anyone else been involved in that in high school or college, or it could be in middle school? When my daughter went to high school, she went to an early college, and a lot of their final assessments were videos where if they read a novel, mainly in English, they did a lot in their English class. If they had read a novel or a myth or a short story, part of their final assessment would be to create a video telling that story again. And they had to include certain elements, like they had to include so many characters, and they had to include the plot line, and they had to include the climax and the plot of the, all the elements of a story that you read. The protagonist, the antagonist, they had to put all of that in there. And if they were able to do that and able to create that video, no matter how professional or amateurish it was, if they were able to put all of those parts into it, then that teacher knew that they had learned the skills that she or he wanted them to learn. So it's a very powerful tool to use, not just for let's create a cool project, but it's a very powerful tool to use as an assessment for student learning as well. To kind of keep that in the back of your mind that not all kids are going to make 100 on a written test, but you can give them the option, take the written test or create this project, this video, so that I can see that you've learned what I wanted you to learn. So not only can video be used to teach, but it can be used as an assessment as well. Even your little, I don't know, your kindergartners might could do it. I don't know. They're so smart nowadays with technology, but especially your upper elementary, middle, and high, they eat it up. They will eat it up to be able to create something like that. All right, any other comments, questions from the video? I mean, from the article? Okay. So there are a couple of things I need to share with you. Let's go back to class here for a second. Your assignment for this week is the same that it's been. For this week, you are going to find or create a video clip. Let me pull up our week here. I want you to find or create a video clip, and just like you have been doing, how would you use it? What standards would you teach? In what classroom? And then you guys will spit that back out to us on Wednesday, and then it will be your assignment for Friday night. There is I was sent this little flyer. Can y'all see that? I was sent this flyer just today from the head of the curriculum and instruction department. And there's an event that is taking place on Tuesday, the 26th from 1 to 2. It is a conversation, obviously, a documentary film called Who Can You Trust? And it may pertain to a lot of the things that we've been talking about, because it is talking about media literacy in education and how it's becoming more and more important that we intertwine media, digital literacy in all of our classes in this digital world. So if you are interested in attending this next Tuesday, I don't know if you're in class at that time, but if you're available and want to check it out, please do. I don't think any of you need extra credit, but if you think you need extra credit, if you attend it, watch it, if you'll just write me up a little half-page summary and email it to me, then I'll pop you some extra credit on an assignment, or if you've missed an assignment, I'll pop you some extra credit in there. So just as an incentive, like I said, most of you don't need it. You're making an A+ now already, but it might be something that you would be interested in. So next Tuesday, the link is right here. You just register, it's free. Anybody can attend. So if you're interested, that opportunity is available there to you. Okay, any questions about this week before we log off here in a few minutes?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
I clicked on the Google form thing that you made, but it's saying that I have to request edit access,
Did you just do it, or did you do it earlier?
like just now.
Well, I thought I shared rights. Okay, hang on. Let me go into it and stop. Sorry, y'all. My dog's barking at the mailman. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, now it's working. I don't
Okay,
know
yeah.
what.
No, Grace also sent me an email wanting it shared, so I shared it while you guys are reading. So as long as you can get into it, that's great. So yeah, just a reminder, if anyone wants to present on the 29th, first 6, you got it, and you'll be ready to present on the 29th, and then everybody else will present on the 8th. Okay, any other questions? All right, guys, so be thinking about how you would use video in your classroom. Find those really cool video segments, because you've been finding some really cool audio and pictures. And then on Wednesday night, we'll be ready to present those to the class. And if nobody has any other questions or anything, we're ready to sign off for the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a fabulous evening. Enjoy this beautiful weather. And I'll
Me
talk.
too.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Stop.